Are you looking to do deals and master flipping houses? Welcome to the DoDeals Show with our host, Mr. Tim Mai. As a successful investor and mentor to many real estate investors, Tim's students consistently run 6- and 7-figure investing businesses. Each week, you'll hear from top real estate investors who share the best strategies, systems, and secrets that you can use to be more successful. Tim and his guests will pull back the curtain for you to learn their exact tactics, tricks, and tools that are working best right now in today's real estate market. Now, let's welcome Mr. Tim Mai.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome Facebook Live. We are live. I'm here with Corey Boyles. He's a very successful real estate investor out of the St. Louis market, right? So Corey, share with everybody on Facebook, what is your one best tip for all the investors out there?
Okay, my one best tip, I got this from somebody else, but it's you got to view your business like a game of ping pong, and if the ball's in your court, you got to return it immediately. Whether that's an idea that you might have or it's advice that someone gives you. You got to put it into practice immediately. Don't let anything wait or linger on. Get the ball back on the other court.
Awesome. Business as a game of ping pong. Right?
Yes.
Get the ball right back. Awesome.
Right.
All right, everybody, we're going to end the Facebook Live right now to continue the rest of our interview. Make sure you check out, make sure you watch out for my post once we get it uploaded into YouTube. On this interview, I'm going to basically, Corey is going to share with us how he compiled the obituary list, how he gets people that, recently passed away and find their heirs and buy their houses. And so make sure you keep an eye out for that. All right, so bye for now, Facebook. All right, Corey, well, let's start with our actual interview now.
All right.
So if you can share with everybody a little bit about yourself, how you got started, when was that? What got you, interested and what got you started in real estate investing?
Yeah. So I got into real estate in 2012. Before that, I had a massage therapy business. I had a couple of massage therapy offices, and I had started to kind of get bored with that. And I knew also that there's definitely going to be a cap to how much money I can make, and I can only make money when my hands are on people. So I had bought a house, and I rented a room out. So I was kind of a de facto real estate guy. I didn't really know it, but I was renting my rooms out to people, and they were paying my mortgage. And this guy, he became my friends. He started getting into wholesaling a little bit, and he told me about it and was so pumped about it. Told me the details, and I thought it sounded kind of like a scam, or it wouldn't work. I just didn't understand how you could take a house, convince somebody to buy it for this amount, and then sell it to somebody else for this amount. I didn't process that like that. And so I let him do his thing, and he got a couple deals done. And he told me about this guy that does hard money lending. There's this guy named Sean Greaves in the St. Louis area that does hard money lending. And his whole model was, you find a cheap house in North County, which is predominantly a rental area for investors, and fix it up, put a renter in there, and then you sell it to another investor who's going to hold it, and he was going to give me the money to do that. And that made more sense to me because it seemed like I was doing a whole lot more work, and therefore I was going to provide a whole lot more value. Mm-hmm. So I did that. I did two. The first one was really easy. It took me 3 months to buy it, rehab it, and sell it. I made about $10,000 profit, and not too bad. And then the second time I did it, I hired a contractor to do some of the work, and that's where things got a little bit crazy. That deal was supposed to take 6 weeks from the time I bought it to the time it was ready to be rented. It was supposed to take 6 weeks. The whole process took 7 months. It took me 7 months to sell this house, and I had to refinance with my hard money guy. My contractor took off with my money.
Oh man!
He stole things from the neighbors. It was a huge mess. And meanwhile, my friend is still making 5, 10, 15 grand a wholesale in 2 weeks. And I ended up making money off of that second one, but it took me 7 months and a lot of lost nights sleep, a lot of headaches. And I had met other wholesalers during that period. And I was like, well, these guys are doing it. They're making the same amount of money I'm making. It's taking them 2 weeks to make the money or less, and they're not losing any sleep. I'm going to see what this is about. So instantly started building my buyers list. I found a guy out actually in Texas, out of Houston, a guy from Germany. You might even have heard of him or know him, but he said his name is Gunnar.
Gunnar, okay, yeah.
Gunnar, no?
Yeah.
So me and Gunnar developed a relationship. He told me what he was looking for. I immediately started contacting all the wholesalers I knew. Went to all the local websites that have wholesale properties and started just shopping stuff to them. I'd call someone up and I'd say, hey, I think I got a guy for this. You mind if I show it to them? They'd say yes. And so I think it took me from the day I decided I was going to do wholesaling to the day I sold my first wholesale, closed on it, was 3 weeks. It took me a week to find the deal, 2 weeks to close, and I think I made $3 grand. Nice. It was the easiest $3 grand I ever made, and from it was all about wholesaling. And that was 2013. Early 2014 was my first full-time year of just doing real estate, and I did 40 deals that first year, half of which were I did some kind of co-wholesale. So either I had the buyer or I had the seller.
Right. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what kind of volume are you doing now?
It's similar to what I was doing back then. It's just a little bit different choice in properties. So I'm doing anywhere from, this year I'll probably do around 45 deals total. Nice. Maybe 5 to 10 of those are co-wholesales. And then the rest are, we actually buy and rehab properties now too. But some of the wholesales that we're doing, they're, because on the North County stuff, you might make 1 to 10,000, but for the rental stuff on the lower end. But now I'm focusing a lot more on kind of the mid to upper end rehabs, which there's a whole lot more meat there, and a lot less time to get the deal done.
Right. Okay. Awesome. And what are some of your favorite ways to find deals, to find sellers?
My favorite way is leveraging other people who are already doing this. So being friends with wholesalers. I just got a lunch right before we started this interview with a wholesaler. I try to have at least three lunches with wholesalers or people who are interested in wholesaling. So that's my favorite way.
Three per week or what? Is that
per week? Yeah, I try to have at least 3. It ends up being like 7, but I'm booked out till like January. So it's great because what I do is I go in front of a RIA and I'll tell everybody that's new. If you're looking to learn anything about wholesaling, I won't hold anything back. All you got to do is buy me a sandwich, and I'll give you all the secrets I got.
That's cool. One of the mentors that I approached when I first started, he used to have this rule. He said that if you buy me lunch, you can ask me as many questions as you can until either my butt get hurt or your butt get hurt.
I've had to implement the butt hurt rule actually, because sometimes I'll be sitting there for 3.5 hours talking with somebody about the perfect yellow letter to send. I'm like, I should be charging you more than a sandwich for this.
Gotcha. That's cool. Okay, so networking with other wholesalers, with people who wants to get to wholesaling is one. What's another one?
Direct mail is great for bringing in leads. They're not always the happiest leads. I do a lot of absentee because I still wholesale a lot of the North County rental stuff. Mm-hmm. So I do a lot of absentee owners. I'm looking for landlords who are done being landlords, so I can move them over to somebody who's ready to take on the new property. Right. I do a lot of equity lists, and then so those are my main 2 focuses. And then I also have a few people who do driving for dollars. They'll go and they'll have a Google spreadsheet. They'll find dilapidated properties. They'll put in the information, and we'll skip trace it and send them a letter.
Gotcha. Now, are those people that doing the driving for dollars for you? Are they your students, or are they like bird dogs?
Yeah, they're bird dogs. Yeah, and they get 15% of the deal if it closes. I also have about 70 stickers, like mobile bandit sign cars out there.
Oh,
that
nice.
my stick. Yeah, that has not been. I like doing that because usually you're going to get somebody who's motivated when they do call, and it's a great way of sharing, with people in the community some of the profit. And all they have to do is put a sticker on their car.
Right.
In this market, it's not been too. It's low cost, so to do that kind of marketing, but it's not super rewarding. So I've only, maybe in the past 2 years, I've probably bought about 7 or 8 houses.
Okay. But that's not too bad, but yeah, okay.
No, it's not. I mean, it's worth doing.
Uh-huh.
For me, it was worth doing, but it's not my favorite return.
Yeah, I've always thought about that. I heard about that originally from a gentleman out of the Phoenix area.
Yes.
And I've always thought of the idea of, imagine we can get all the Uber drivers out there putting a sticker on the car, right? So, because I mean, those Uber guys are always looking for ways to make money. But I've never implemented it. So good to hear that, like you implemented, got over 70 cars out there, right?
I had about 80 at one point.
Uh-huh.
I have no idea. Like I've had people call me up 2 weeks later. Hey, where's my money at? I'm taking this sticker off if I don't get my money tomorrow. I'm like, this isn't what either of us agreed to. Go ahead and take the sticker off. I have no idea how many people are still out there with stickers.
Gotcha.
Like 20, for all I know. But some of the other ways, other than that, we put a good amount of money into our SEO and our website.
Mm-hmm.
We get pretty good motivated leads from that. I subscribe to some of those websites where you can buy leads, for motivated sellers. Mm-hmm. I can't really tell you what I use because I'm only one of 4 other people in this market that uses it, so I don't want that to change.
Right.
But then we do a lot of mailings that revolve around a death event. So it can be triggered by a probate or an obituary, or if a trust is transferred, someone's going to get a letter from us. And usually those are our higher dollar leads because they're the most motivated individuals.
Right. So let's talk about that because probate, we've heard that many times, right? But the obituary was very interesting to me. So I want to, delve into that. So share with us, like, what's your process to go through? Like, where do you find them? What do you do once you find somebody? How do you know they even own a property? Things like that.
Right. So what we do is we actually go to the local websites for funeral homes, like some of the biggest companies. And there's about 3 or 4 big companies around here. And we simply log onto their website and look at their obituaries, and we'll cross-reference who the person is with the online court database that Missouri has. So we have something called CaseNet, and anything that goes through the courts is going to be on there. Anything from a traffic ticket to arson to somebody dying, and there's a probate case. So when we get the obituary, we will look them up in CaseNet to see if there's a personal representative that's been assigned, and we'll also if the obituary mentions names, we don't do this, but I know some people do. They'll actually try to find them on Facebook and send them messages. We don't do that just because it's a little bit surrounding a death, so you got to do a lot more tiptoeing.
Right.
And then we'll go into the MLS and look up the property. If it's even something we want to buy, we'll see if there's when the last mortgage was on there to see if there's enough equity. So in some we don't. It's a lot more digging. So it's not an automated process for us. We have assistants that do all that, and it's a daily grind. But it doesn't really cost us any money except for upfront admin costs and then the stamp and the envelope out the door. And we treat it, the letter that we send looks just like our probate. So it's very sensitive, and we don't send it right away. We're not ambulance chasers. We give it a little bit of time, because, you know, a lot of times if it's going through probate anyways, it's going to need time.
Right. So when you say you give it some time, like what, 30 days or?
We give it 30 days, and then we have a 6 weeks. We'll do a 6-week mailing for another. We'll do 6 more mailings every 6 weeks.
Oh, every 6 weeks. Okay.
Yeah, and so we'll be checking up to make sure that the property hasn't sold too. We'll send the letter if there's an attorney involved. We'll send the letter to the attorney, personal representative. We'll skip trace if any letters bounce back. We'll send to family members. And it's very generic. It's not targeted. We don't mention the death. We don't offer condolences or anything like that. It's just like, hey, we want to buy the house at this address.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so you try to keep it generic so that way, like, they don't think you're stalking them. It's kind of...
Yeah, because they're going to get a lot of letters. Uh-huh. You know, there's us, and there's going to be 12 other companies locally. They're going to get a lot of letters, and it's better you want to stand out, but you don't want to stand out in a bad way. And so the first guy to the door, you know, is usually the guy who's going to stand out. Maybe he has a higher chance of standing out in a bad way, you know. Mm-hmm. If someone died and a week later you get a letter, you're like, oh, geez, that's a little soon, don't you think? But if they get another one a week later, then all of a sudden that's the norm, you know. So we don't want to be the first ones in. We don't want to be the last ones in.
Right. That's cool. And what would you say, like, how many deals a year do you get from death related?
That's a good question. We actually have someone, her name's Heather, in our company that tracks just this stuff, and she does a bunch of other stuff too. She's awesome. And by the way, if you're not tracking that, you should be. And she has that stuff. It's in the 80% or higher, I would say.
Oh wow, that's high.
Of the total, maybe not necessarily deals, but profit is related to a death, right? So I do a lot of houses that, you know, just landlords, just tired of being landlords. I do a lot of but those aren't usually the highest profit.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, in your market, so like an average wholesale deal, what's the average profit?
Well, it really varies. You know, I think a lot of the guys who first get in, it seems like your average profit might be, you know, $2,000 to $7,000. Mm-hmm. When you start to get a little bit better known and you get better practice and you know better buyers, you're able to spend more so that you can make more. So I think that it's probably going to be. It depends on what it is. Like in North County, let's just say if it's a rental that I'm wholesaling, my average profit's probably anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000. If it's a rehab, I'm shooting for $20,000, but it's anywhere from, I'd say, average is 10 to 20.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's really good. All right, cool. Now I know on the selling side of it, not only do you sell them, but you also have your students sell them. So explain that process a little bit. Why do you set it up that way versus your company selling everything?
Yeah. So a lot of the guys in the local area already know who I am. They already know I'm selling deals. And I could easily just as well sell one of my properties. The reason why I have my students do it is because I want to focus on acquisitions. If I'm trying to sell XYZ Main Street property and my job is to sell that property, then I'm not really too focused on making the follow-up calls, or managing my driving for dollars people, or meeting up with other wholesalers for lunch, or doing, you know, webinars and things like that. So if I have somebody, I tell my students, this is how much I want for it. I don't care how much above, and I'll sell it to them to where they can actually, you know, sell it. I'm not gonna stiff them and make, you know, give them a property that they can't sell for that amount and make them look like fools. So I'll still give it to them at a deal, and I'll tell them what I think it would sell for, and if they want to sell for above that, that's fine. And that allows them to build their buyers list much faster, because it's one thing when you're soliciting and you don't have a property for sale. It's a totally different thing if you're a guy that's always got a property once a week or every other week for sale. Your buyers list is just going to build, and your connections are going to build much, much faster. Right. So I do that to help their own success, and when they're successful, I'm successful, and I can take the focus off selling.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good. I like that. All right, we're we're gonna wrap up this interview here, and I'm sure the viewers here would love to reach out to you, get a hold of you. How can they best? Where do you want to send them? How can they best get a hold of you?
Yeah, so anybody, I have a website out there. Yeah, if people are interested in buying properties from me or signing up for my buyers list, it's quickdrawinvestments.com. And my email is quickdrawinvestments@gmail.com.
Right. Now you mentioned to me, earlier that your market, you guys get pretty good cash flow, and you have a pretty good amount of out of state, out of town landlords, buyers that invest in your market. Can you speak into that? And perhaps someone listening, they might be in another state, another country, that they're like, wow, that's great cash flow, I want some. So
yeah, absolutely. So it is a great market for rentals, and the reason for that is we have an area, we call it the North County area. It's some of the properties really can't appraise for high enough for owner occupants to purchase. But they're still renting like crazy. I mean, it's still vibrant communities. It's great areas, lots of jobs. But you can buy a house for $25,000, $30,000, $35,000 that might rent from anywhere from $650 to $850.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. So you get a return, cash on cash return of minimum in some areas, minimum of 20 all the way up to 30. I've sold houses with 100% return.
Wow.
Like literally, one house I sold, it was rented for $500 a month. I sold it for $5,000.
Wow.
So. And that's a little bit rougher, but if you like that and you got the property manager, you can have properties that have 100% return. And in 3 years from now, if your tenants leave and they burn the house down, who cares? You made 4 times your money back already.
Right.
And we also have the in-between kind of sweet spot, which is my favorite to own and wholesale, which is the houses that you might buy for 50 to 60, but when you buy them, they're already worth 80 at least, and you can rent them out for $900 to $1,200.
That's awesome.
So we have a whole variety of high return, lots of different flavors in this area. Just so there's something for everybody here, for the landlords.
Right. That's great. Thank you so much for that. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Corey. So, what do you want to leave everyone with? Give us like an insight, a wisdom. What do you want to leave everyone with?
Oh man, I am not a guru. All I can say is that it's maybe it's anybody starting out. Okay, anybody starting out, I'll just say if this is something you're genuinely interested in doing, you need to start. When you're dealing with sellers, this whole business, it needs to be about service, and it needs to come from your heart. My business blew up when I changed my mentality from making it about money to making it about helping others. I made way more money when I made it about helping others, but I also had a lot of just self-gratification. It was so self-gratifying to help somebody out and for somebody to be in a really tough spot and I'm their solution. That feels great. And then to the people who are experienced and already know that to be true, I would say give to the new guys. Yeah, have lunches with the new guys. Share your ideas, encourage other people, motivate other people. Be a part of your community. If that's something you like to do, be a part of invest your community and help others, and you're gonna get that back 100 million times.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Great wisdom for sure. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Corey, thank you so much, buddy, for everything you've shared. Some great tips. Thank you so much. All right.
Awesome.
See you on the next interview, everyone. Bye.
And that's our show for today. If you have any questions or would like to get further training from Tim Mai, please visit our website at www.dodeals.com/Tim.